Dugan and I took a four-wheeler and a trailer I made up to the cabin. Here's a little bit of the trip. These two goofballs are my daughters. They're my partners in crime and the reason I exist on this planet, and we went down to check out the ice one day. There's always a short little window when the ice goes out on the Chena, and that ice from the Chena gets down to where my cabin is on the Tanana. That window allows me to travel ice-free before the Chena River ice gets to me. It's not that big of a deal, it's just a little comforting. These ice chunks coming down the river can be anywhere between 2 to 6 feet thick and any size, length, or width. There's no reason to be afraid of them, but you do have to respect them. They'll take out bank, they'll take out trees, boats, and if you get in their way, they'll take you out too. The ice chunks we were standing on were grounded safely on a very solid base, so we weren't too worried about them tipping or flipping over or anything like that. It was nice, and it took a little extra time to explain things to my kids while we watched the water just flow by. We loaded the boat, four-wheeler, and I built a trailer to tow behind, and we were taking the four-wheeler up to leave it so we didn't have to carry all our stuff in by hand each time. With all this set, we got her loaded, and we headed to the cabin. I hope you enjoy the trip. I sure did. Well, Dugan and I got everything freighted in. With the help of a neighbor, everything got put in its place. I couldn't have done it alone, and I really appreciate the help, Andrew. The minute we step off the boat, Dugan's got to run around and make sure all the squirrels get back in their hole. He does not like them freeloading around there one bit. I'm pretty sure inside this old birch tree there was a family of squirrels, and he could smell them and can hear them, and just wanted to make sure that they were where they're supposed to be. Watch him. Get him. Get that squirrel. These are our dear friends Jennifer and Andrew. They've been friends of ours since we first came out there. They built this cabin for $125, and if you're not checking them out on YouTube, you are wrong. Cabin Lab. One of the great things about going to visit people on the river is the ride home. Always and every time, it's spectacular, and you just can't beat the views. This is a spring we stop at on the highway. It gives everybody a chance to stretch their legs, top our water bottles off, and most importantly, whoever needs to go can hit the bathroom. On this particular trip, we weren't able to get the boat all the way into the cabin, so we had to hike in, grab the four-wheeler, come back out, and freight our stuff. Meanwhile, we got a fire going, had a little snack, kind of basically just enjoyed the afternoon. Maybe this is why they call it the dog days of summer.
Good boy. Come on. Come on, big boy. Get up here. Drop it. Okay. Lots of mud. Ready? Get down. Get down. Go get it.
Well, it was time for us to start setting the casings so we could put our second-hand windows in. But before I could do that, I had to square all the windows up and make sure the openings fit the actual casings that I made. The only problem with this was I didn't quite keep track of where I put the log screws. So we made a lot of sparks, screwed a couple chains up, but I guess that's life. If you ever build a cabin for the first time by yourself with the help of your family who has also never built a cabin, expect a few mess ups. We messed up here on the size of the opening that we needed, so I gouged into the upper log a little bit. The only thing it really affected was the fact I had to make a frame a little bit stronger than I thought. So don't be afraid to try it, go for it. It's wood, they'll grow more. Sometimes when you're trying a technique, you just got to come to terms with the fact it doesn't work. Thank God for chain brakes on this thing. It became so stupid that we just quit.
Don't be afraid to put extra on.
And just like that, progress we could see. Sure makes a cabin feel more complete when you start putting windows in. It doesn't take too much for any of us to decide it's time for a break. You can usually find Killian goofing around with insects or sitting by the fire and reading. And on occasion, we can get her back to work. We gave Killian a jug of Thompson's water seal of a various dye that we had and sent her to work on it. Turned out pretty good. It wasn't about the color, it was more about trying to keep the water from destroying the plywood.
man, this was a good trip. This was Ronnie's first trip of the season, so we got the front of the deck taken care of with some stain. We put a couple windows in, which was a bit of a fiasco anyways. I wish I was a carpenter, but I'm not. But they worked out good. A lot of cleanup, so not much more damage than what we thought was happening from the flood, so we were able to take care of all that. But the biggest plus thing is I'm sitting on the four-wheeler that we got up here, so that's pretty great. It's a life-changing thing for me. A lot of wildlife here, heard a few gunshots. I assume some bear hunters got some bears this morning, so good luck to all the hunters. Be safe out there, and as usual, we'll see you on the river.
Well, folks, that's a wrap. I was able to freight everything back out with the four-wheeler, leave it near the boat, and on the way out, we even caught a glimpse of a wolf that's been hanging out.